Welcome, everybody. The NFL season is over, which means it's time to look forward to the 2023 NFL Draft. I'm Joe with the Game House, and today we're going to be taking a look at the Cincinnati Bengals in a 2023 NFL mock draft. All right, as mentioned, we have the Cincinnati Bengals on the clock in our 2023 NFL mock draft series. They were a team that made the AFC Championship for the second straight year this past year, but fell to the Kansas City Chiefs. A team that's been kind of plagued by offensive line injuries over the last 2 years, so they've gone ahead and gotten a little bit better every single year. This year, they went and got Orlando Brown to play left tackle. There are some things up in the air. Jonah Williams wants a trade. Lyle Collins is injured. Both of those guys are still on the roster, which kind of affects this mock draft. So we don't really have all the details there. They lost both their starting safeties, so we're going to have a second-year player in Dax Hill starting in. We're going to have Nick Scott from the Rams stepping in at the other safety spot. So there's definitely things that are maybe not as good as last year, but this is why we have the draft. They think the Bengals have set themselves up well to take either best player available or a position of small need. They take a right tackle first round, then they cut Lyle Collins and trade Jonah Williams. If they take let's say, safety, maybe it's just depth purposes, as like they did last year with Dax Hill. If they take a tight end, that's cool, but they also just signed Irv Smith out of Alabama, who, when healthy, has been okay at tight end. So a lot of different options for the Bengals. Let's start off by saying we're going to be using the NFL Mock Draft Database Simulator. It's really good because it kind of uses the internet's rankings of players and kind of molds them all together to show you where players are realistically ranked. The problem is some players will fall that aren't the most realistic, but we know the NFL Draft is unpredictable, so we'll just roll with it and try to keep the best possible options open for the Bengals. We will also be declining all trades that come in. It's just a lot of trades aren't the most realistic in these simulators, so it's best just to kind of decline them and use the picks the Bengals actually have at this moment. So let's get it started with pick number 28 and the Cincinnati Bengals. A lot of potential here for the Bengals. I think they're going to be one of the Super Bowl favorites for a couple of years to come here with Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase. They're going to have T. Higgins coming back too. They've made a committed effort to bring these guys back. This is a tough one because there are several positions of need here. Because I really like Brian Branch, and I do think he could be a starter right away. And when you have Nick Scott and Dax Hill, who I don't think are the greatest players, you're kind of trusting Lou Anarumo in that defense, and that's fine because Lou Anarumo's done a really good job. I don't know. I really like Brian Branch though. His combine performance maybe made him drop a little bit. You also have tight ends. You have Dalton Kincaid, Darnell Washington there. I think Washington would be the preferred one from the Bengals if they go that route. And then you have Darnell Wright, the right tackle. Is Lyle Collins coming back? So far he's there. Is Jonah Williams actually going to be traded? It seems like the market isn't really there for him, although at least the way he wants to be a left tackle. So with two possible offensive linemen coming back, I think I'm going to take Brian Branch here. I really do love him as a player. This kind of helps you a lot. Last year they said they took Dax Hill so they could play three safety looks. They didn't do it as much, but it's not a bad thing to have three safeties. The flexibility there, I think the Bengals front office has created is really, really good. You could go tight end and get Darnell Washington, really, I guess, was something to think about. But I also knew there's going to be a guy here, I think Sam Laporta, that a lot of Bengals fans have kind of become familiar with over the last several years, and also Matthew Bergeron, the offensive tackle out of Syracuse. So if you think that maybe one of these tackles is going to be there, we know that Lyle Collins probably not ready for opening day after tearing his ACL, so you're going to have to put in Jackson Carman, but he played okay at right tackle. He's not played well overall, don't get me wrong, but I'm going to go Sam Laporta. I think he's a guy who, if Irv Smith gets injured again, he steps right in. Had some really good run after the catch opportunities at Iowa during his career. You get a tight end in the second round in a deep tight end class. You shore up that little bit of a need there, even after signing Irv Smith. And when you look at that, Matthew Bergeron just slides right to us. Jalen Duncan as well. We'll go Matthew Bergeron at offensive tackle here for the Bengals. At the very least, you get a guy who could step in right away if Lyle Collins isn't brought back, if Jonah Williams isn't brought back. But otherwise, you bring back depth, which is so important to this team specifically because the last 2 years with all the injuries, it just makes it so much tougher. And I'm very happy that we got the three positions I think they needed the most in this draft already because now we can have a little bit of flexibility, a little bit of fun here. I do think that Tyjae Spears would be the pick. Look, Joe Mixon might be cut. He makes a lot of money. But if he's still on the roster, so if they do bring him back, what I think is you need a running back who can make big plays, and Tyjae Spears can do that. He's great in open space. You can be a little bit of a receiver too, so Mixon can be a little bit of the banger, while the Tyjae Spears can be the guy who kind of is more elusive, and I think that's a really good running back tandem. I don't think this gives you the ability to cut Joe Mixon and just start Tyjae Spears. I think he could be down the road a good running back, but for right now, I think they complement each other well while we see what Joe Mixon can give this team. All right, a lot of options here for the Bengals to take. Fourth wide receiver has been something a lot of fans have wanted for a while. Cornerback depth, even though they've done a pretty good job in Lou Anarumo's tenure of drafting, developing corners. Cam Taylor-Britt was pretty good. Chidobe Awuzie, the free agent signing, back from his injury. We'll see if he's ready for day one. They also just signed Sidney Jones. So I think we're going to pass on that. I'm going to go Mike Morris, very athletic defensive lineman from Michigan. Helps with the interior of the defensive line. Played a little bit of edge at Michigan too, but I think he's more of an interior guy, just a bigger guy. I think at like 290 pounds. So that's a guy I think can really help your defensive line rotation, maybe help you get after the quarterback because of his athleticism. All right, pick number 206. Let's see what we got here. I think Keitrell Clark would be in the mix, but he's more of a slot corner, so he'd have to play behind Mike Hilton, which is not a bad thing. I mean, you need corner depth. But let's go with Puka Nacua, the wide receiver out of BYU. Pretty productive player for BYU over the last several years. The Bengals have needed a fourth wide receiver. Tyler Boyd is probably not going to stay with the Bengals for too much longer when you have those contracts of Jamar Chase and T. Higgins coming up. He's a very good player, don't get me wrong, but I think they're going to need to plan for the future. Joe Burrow made Trenton Irwin look really good. And Trenton Irwin, I think, played better than most people expected, so give him credit as well. But I think you can take a fourth wide receiver there in case one of them gets hurt. We saw several games this year where one or two receivers got hurt, and it really limited what the offense could do, as well as that offensive line being hurt as well. And that'll take us to our last pick at pick number 246. This is one where, again, just you're looking for depth, looking for guys who can make the roster. And I'll go Yasir Abdullah, the linebacker out of Louisville. Versatile player for them. I think his production outweighs his draft, position here at the end of the 7th round. But a guy who could probably make the roster at the back end. They did just resign Jermaine Pratt. They have Logan Wilson for another year. So they don't really need linebacker help, but, a 4th, 5th linebacker on the roster, never a bad thing. So maybe someone who can play some special teams for him. So in this mock draft, we did go Brian Branch. There was the opportunity to go offensive tackle or tight end in the first round, but just kind of, Nick Scott hasn't played the best in his career. He's more athletic. Maybe Lou Anarumo can get the best out of him on the defensive side of the ball. Dax Hill, again, still unproven. Didn't really play that well when he was on the field, even though he wasn't on the field all that much in year one. But Brian Branch, a really instinctive player, and the good news with him is he can play multiple positions. He played outside corner, he can play nickel, he can play safety. So say your corners go down like they did in last season, you can move him to corner maybe and have more of a guy who has more experience than Dax Hill did at corner when they moved him to corner, outside corner last year. Sam Laporta at tight end. Yes, you signed Irv Smith, but Sam Laporta is a really good value at the end of the second round. I think they can use him and maybe develop him into a starting tight end because Irv Smith only got that 1-year deal. Maybe lucked out a little bit here, but Matthew Bergeron, the offensive tackle out of Syracuse, again, could play right tackle from the start for the Bengals. I think he would be the front runner if they do get him to be the right tackle to start for the Bengals on that offensive line. If Lyle Collins is not able to go, if Lyle Collins comes back, he provides that depth, which is just going to be so important after the last 2 years of offensive line depth issues. Tyjae Spears, a good compliment to Joe Mixon since they seem like they're keeping him for now. We'll see if that changes, as there's a lot of rumors that he might be cut because of how much they can save against the cap. Tyjae Spears, more of a big play threat, can really complement Joe Mixon pretty well. Mike Morris, a very athletic defensive lineman, kind of a big edge at Michigan, but I think he's going to move interior for the Bengals. The Bengals do need more defensive line depth as they move forward. Would have liked to get more of an edge rusher, more than Mike Morris at some point, but I think getting the inside guy here now, maybe you sign an edge rusher to a 1-year deal to kind of help out with depth, or you take one in next year's draft. Puka Nacua, again, the 4th wide receiver has been an issue for the Bengals this past year. Injuries, 1 guy out, 2 guys out. You really just need to build that depth at the wide receiver position that they really don't have right now. And then Yasir Abdullah, probably a special teams guy, but I do think he can make the roster at the back end. I like this draft for the Bengals. I know many people may not because the safety pick at the first one instead of maybe going offensive line or tight end. We did address that, but let me know what you think of this mock draft in the comments. We're going to keep on doing our NFL mock draft series as we continue through April into the draft. So for now, thanks for watching. We'll see everyone next time.